2.5 miles under the East Antarctic ice sheet, there's a lake the size of Lake Ontario. It's called Lake Vostok, and it's the 16th largest lake in the world. It's been sealed off from the surface for somewhere between 15 and 25 million years. That's older than humans, older than most modern mammals. Whatever's in that water has been evolving in total darkness, under crushing pressure, completely cut off from the rest of life on Earth. The Russians have been drilling down to it since the late 1980s from Vostok Station, a base so remote and so cold that it's recorded the lowest natural temperature ever measured on the planet. In February 2012, after more than 2 decades of drilling, the bit finally broke through into the lake water. 3.7 kilometers of solid ice punched all the way through. They pulled samples up the following year. When biologists at the Petersburg Nuclear Physics Institute ran the genetic sequencing, they found something they couldn't categorize. A bacterial DNA sequence that matched nothing in any database, less than 86% similarity to any known organism. For context, you and a banana share more genetic material than that. The lead researcher, Sergei Bulat, called it unidentified and unclassified. Other scientists pushed back hard, said it had to be contamination from the drilling fluid. The argument never really got settled. What sits in that lake is still down there. The borehole refroze, and nobody's gotten a clean sample since. October 2018, Bellingshausen Station, a Russian base on King George Island, just off the Antarctic Peninsula. 55-year-old engineer Sergei Savitsky had been wintering there for months. His colleague, welder Oleg Belogusov, had a habit Savitsky couldn't stand. Belogusov would read the books in the station library first, then walk up to Savitsky and tell him how they ended. He kept doing this for months, spoiler after spoiler. In a place where there's nothing else to do, where the sun barely comes up, where you see the same 9 faces every single day. Savitsky finally snapped. He grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed Belogusov in the chest, right there in the station's dining hall. Belogusov survived. Savitsky reportedly walked straight to the station chapel and turned himself in to the Orthodox priest. He was flown back to St. Petersburg and charged with attempted murder. The charges were later dropped after the victim refused to press them. Psychologists have a name for what may have been happening to him. They call it winter over syndrome. Insomnia, irritability, cognitive slowdown, flashes of rage. It hits people who spend the dark months in polar isolation. It was the first attempted murder ever recorded on the continent, and the trigger was book endings. In the McMurdo dry valleys on the edge of the Taylor Glacier, there's a stain. A wide rust-red smear pouring out of the white ice like something was wounded underneath. The Australian geologist Griffith Taylor stumbled onto it in 1911. He assumed red algae. He was wrong. What's actually feeding it is brine. Salty water trapped under the glacier for somewhere around 1.5 million years loaded with iron. The second it hits the air, the iron oxidizes. It literally rusts. That water comes from a subglacial pool that should be frozen solid but isn't because of the salt. And it's full of life. Microbes living in pitch black, no oxygen, surviving by metabolizing iron and sulfur. An entire closed ecosystem that's been running in the dark since before our species existed. Astrobiologists love blood falls. It's the closest thing we have on Earth to what life on Europa or Mars might actually look like. Tucked into a glacier, bleeding into the cold. Out in the Ellsworth Mountains, near the southern end of the range, there are peaks that look genuinely impossible. Four-sided, sharp ridges, flat triangular faces. They look engineered. Photos of them started circulating in the early 2010s, and the internet did what the internet does. Ancient civilization, lost Atlantis, frozen pharaohs, the usual. The actual explanation is simple geology. These are called nunataks, exposed rock peaks that stick up above the surrounding ice sheet. The pyramid shape comes from a process called freeze-thaw weathering. Water seeps into cracks on multiple sides of the peak, freezes, expands, and chips the rock away in roughly symmetrical planes over millions of years. You get the same shape on the Matterhorn and the Alps. Same process, different continent. Nature carves pyramids when the conditions are right. Still, when you see them in person, knowing the explanation doesn't really kill the effect. They look like somebody built them and left. In 1964, a research vessel called the USNS Eltanen was towing a deep-sea camera south of Cape Horn, about 1,000 miles west of the tip of South America. photographing the ocean floor at 13,500 feet. When the film came back from one of the drops, there was something in the frame nobody expected. Sitting on the silt of the abyssal plain was a structure. It looked like an antenna, a vertical pole rising out of the mud with a dozen evenly spaced crossbars branching off it, each ending in small spheres. It looked manufactured. It looked like equipment, except no equipment had any business being down there. That deep, that far from any cable route or shipping lane. The photo got published in the New Zealand Herald in 1968, and the theories started immediately. Soviet listening device, crashed satellite, alien probe. In 2003, a biologist named Thomas Holstein looked at the original image and identified it as Cladorhiza concrescens, a carnivorous deep-sea sponge with a long stalk and symmetrical branching arms. Case closed, supposedly, but the Eltanen photo has never been matched to any other specimen found in that area. The exact spot has never been revisited, and the sponge identification, while plausible, was made off a single grainy photograph half a century after the fact. Antarctica keeps its secrets the way a freezer keeps a body, slowly, perfectly, and on its own schedule. Whatever's still buried down there in the lakes, under the glaciers, on the seafloor, it's waiting for the next drill bit, the next camera, the next person crazy enough to spend a winter alone with it.